I need you to understand my rage and where it stems from. Hi, my name is Lacey, and welcome to my recap of episode 6 of the Big ABCD. That was dumb. Remember, if you like my content, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell because I cover a lot of dating shows and I'm trying to reach 100 subscribers by the end of the year. So thank you in advance for your help. Mwah. So last time, nobody was eliminated. So everybody is happy and having shots and partying and having fun by the pool. In their marriage, Angelique and Ben, they were good friends, but she found it very hard for the intimate parts because she knew that deep down Ben was not the right person for her. During the party, Angelique and David are really doing heavy PDA, and Casey really feels bad for Ben because he's having a hard time with it because it's a lot in your face when you're not really prepared for it. Takor and Joe are surprisingly hitting it off. There was a shift in Dean ever since Amber came into the villa, and now Joe is completely turned off by Dean. Dean is like a completely different person. He is angry and aggro, and so she's like, okay, well, let's see how I do with Takor. And Takor is feeling it. Go figure. Dean and Devin are having just like a friendly chat, and then Alexis walks by and Devin says like, oh, hey, baby, or something like that. And Dean just gets all bitchy and aggro and is like, you're a different person when she's around. I like him better when you're not here. And she's like, what got into you? And Devin encourages Dean to talk to Dr. Jada because he needs to work on some stuff, just like Devin needed to work on his temper. And Alexis is worried that Dean is poking the bear in Devin and amping up his temper when he's trying to work on that. Dede is talking to Casey and saying how much that she wants to be selfish and actually try and start something and see where it goes with Blair, but Blair's really closed off and it's a hard nut to crack. The hosts return and they say that tonight is a double elimination. However, before that, they get to go on a boat trip or a boat ride and have a party that night. On the boat, Ben is really having a hard time with Angelique and David and how much they're just all up in each other's faces. And Casey suggests that Ben talks to Angelique and says like, hey, this is hard for me, so just, know that, be cognizant of that. Amber and Dean speak, and they are very resentful of each other. And he says that he failed by not making her happy and he felt like a failure, so that's why he was running away to LA, but he also wanted to pursue his career, and he was ashamed, and because he felt like he couldn't man up for her, that's why he initiated the divorce. They both cry and they say they're going to consider each other's feelings more going forward. I still think a chat with Dr. Jada would be beneficial here. Ben pulls Angelique to tell her how hard it is for him seeing her with David. However, he is happy for her. And she's like, you have to let me go. And he's like, I want to let you go. It's just hard. It's just difficult. She says she's sorry, but she is excited to move forward with David and kind of just be friends with Ben if he's okay with that. That night at the party, there's fire dancers and it's just like, it's fun and sexy and everybody's like horned up. Ben and Casey, Ben is finally okay, I'm gonna have fun, I'm gonna be single, I'm gonna enjoy this moment. And Casey's like, yeah, you deserve 100%. And everybody's kind of like hooking up and holding hands and kind of getting cozy on the bleachers watching the fire dancers. And Joe is super excited because she's finally kind of meshing with Takor. And so when they're watching the fire dancers, she's holding his hand, right? And she looks down and Dede's next to Takor, his ex-wife, and she notices that Takor has put his hand on Dede's leg, and Dede gives it like a nice little squeeze and just kind of leaves it there. So Joe is not happy. That is a cat. So Joe is very, very unhappy. She pulls away and kind of is like, oh, okay. She doesn't make a scene. They continue to watch the fire dancers. And then once the fire dancing is over, Takor gets up and he kisses Joe on the head and walks away. And Joe is not okay. I'm going to read a lot of this off because some of the words were choice. And I need you to understand my rage and where it stems from, so we can rage together. So Joe pulls Takor and tries to tell him how she felt. She said, we were holding hands, I thought we were cool, and then I saw you holding Dede's hand. And he's like, no, 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 I'm gonna cut you off. I'm gonna stop you right there. First of all, you let her finish. You let her finish and say how she feels, because it is valid. And she says, oh no, I'm trying to finish, I'm gonna let you. And he says, oh no, you're still talking though. This man is patronizing, and I don't like it. Takor says that he will always care about Dede, that he's just friends with Dede, that she, that Joe is overreacting, that it's not a problem. And Joe says, you're making me feel stupid. You're making me feel like an asshole. And he says, well, why do you feel stupid? And she said, because you're holding your ex-wife's hand, and I thought we were having a connection. And he says, well, what makes you feel stupider than any other day? I know what he was trying to say, like, why, what makes this different, but it was like, holy Jesus, you're calling this woman stupid and invalidating her feelings and being patronizing and cutting her off and being an all-around douche. So Joe rightfully gets upset and walks away. She goes and talks to Angelique, and she is angry and she is crying, and Angelique is trying to, like, she brings Joe into the other room and just kind of like, they shut the windows and the doors and just kind of like have their own little thing. And Joe's very, very upset, but just needs a moment away from everybody. Meanwhile, Takor continues to drink. We know this is a bad sign from prior episodes. Dean and Amber have another conversation, and in this one, Amber feels like the failure, and she says that she listened to her friends instead of him, even though maybe her friends were looking out for her. I don't know, to be determined. But apparently she should have listened to him and been a good wife. She should have been more supportive of his career. And she says she's a different person now. I don't think these two are good for each other. Now the drama really gets going. Dede sees that Takor is upset because of the Joe situation, because of the Dede situation. So Dede asks Takor, again, I wrote down notes because the conversation, I couldn't make this up. So Dede asks Takor, like, are you okay? What's wrong? And he gets very angry, like, right off the bat. And he says, you're always criticizing me. You're always critical of me. You're always critical. And she says, what? Like, what are you talking about? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? Talk to me. Talk to me. And he says, it doesn't even matter. Whatever. You're just gonna, like, have your relationship with my fucking best friend. And Dede gets very, very angry, because this is a constant thing, I think, with Takor. She throws her glass of drink, whatever it was, on the ground. It shatters, and she walks away from Takor into the house. Takor follows after her. Casey follows after Takor, saying, hey, calm down, leave her alone, let Dede have some space, let her chill out, let me talk to her. He refuses. Takor is kind of milling about while Casey talks to Dede in the room, and she's saying, like, Dede basically says, like, to Casey, like, hey, this is what happened, this is what he said, I'm mad, this is constant with him. Takor's like, hey, I can hear you, why did you throw that glass? That was disrespectful. Why are you doing that? Why are you throwing glasses? Huh? Like, Dede was in the wrong for everything. Dede is constantly like, get away from me, Takor. Takor's like, why are you doing this? Let's talk about this. And Casey's like, can you just stop, Takor? Leave her alone. And then Blair comes over. Oh my God, it's a mess. Takor tries to make Dede out to be the bad guy for, like, not allowing him to, like, have a conversation with Joe. And she's like, I don't care about you and Joe. I'm trying to move on with Blair. Go talk to Joe. Get away from me. In his confessional, Blair says that this drama is kind of why he's hesitant. One of the many reasons why he's hesitant to start anything with Dede, because Takor is just a loose cannon and not worth it. Blair ends up kind of calming Takor down. Dede walks away. Blair hugs Takor. Takor cries, says he's sorry. It's a lot. And these are adults. This isn't like Love Island where they're 21, 22. These are grown-ass people. It is the next morning, and Takor finally talks to Dr. Jada. He says this was a call for help. He's jealous. It's pride and it's fear. He was abused when he was growing up, and so he has trust issues and needs to control everything. And he feels abandoned, and so he lashes out, and he feels like he can't. He depends on others for validation, and Dr. Jada says you can't do that. You need to find your own validation within yourself, because otherwise you're going like this, because it's totally dependent on other people. Dr. Jada seems to have gotten through to Takor a little bit, And he talks to Joe and apologizes to her, and she says she's the queen of second chances, and so they're gonna give it a go and continue chatting. Dede pulls Blair and is finally like, hey, just tell it to me straight. Are you up for a relationship and going further with me, or are you not ready for that yet? And Blair finally is like, okay, yeah, I'm not ready yet. I have a lot of work to do on my own, so I am not ready to continue progressing with Dede. He's sorry, but she respects his decision and what he needs. At the pool, Devin, Dean, and Angelique, I think, are talking, and they're talking about like who should be eliminated, and Dean's like, oh no, I'm not going to say who I think should be eliminated because I don't want to influence anybody. And Devin flat out says, well, I think Blair and Dede should be eliminated, and Angelique kind of agrees with him. Devin and Dean get into kind of an argument, just like, I tell it how it is. Yeah, well, so do I. And it was like this back and forth of like, just because like Dean didn't want to say who he thought should be eliminated. I was kind of confused by this, but it escalated very quickly and got very heated, and I was very confused. But according to Casey, Dean has completely changed since Amber got here, and he just antagonizes everybody. It is time for the elimination, and the women get to go first. And so the hosts talk to the women, and the three-ish people, and the people that they're considering eliminating are Takor. Amber brings up Takor because he's just completely like... Joe and Dede, however, see Takor's potential and kind of support him staying. Joe and Angelique suggest getting rid of Dean and Amber because of the toxicity that they bring to the villa and how Dean is antagonizing everybody. Casey initially thought that she was going to vote for Dean, but now she's voting for Blair because Blair has made it very clear that he is not interested in moving forward with Dede. So it's kind of like, well, then why are you even here? Like, go work on something elsewhere. Now it's the men's turn to deliberate, and Devin brings up ditching Amber, and Dean is very upset and in denial, and Devin goes off on Dean. Like, he raises his voice, he stands up, he's yelling at Dean, saying he's a facade, he's a joke, and then as soon as Amber came in, he was a completely different person, and if he claims to be this party person, then why wasn't he a party person with Amber there? It gets, like, heated, and I'm surprised the host didn't really do anything, but, like, they're useless anyway, so whatever. Dean obviously gets upset at this, but he doesn't really have anything to say. Ben also agrees with Amber getting kicked out because of her negative energy. Takor agrees with Amber or Dede. He brings up Dede because of his jealousy issues and how much he wants to work on himself and go forward with Joe. And he can't do that with Dede here, especially if she wants to date Blair. Blair confirms that he is just friends with Dede and he is not interested in moving forward with their relationship. The results are in, and it is the guys' turn first to eliminate somebody. It came down to Dede and Amber, and Dede is out. They said it wasn't an easy decision, but she agrees that it was the right one because it is her time, and that since Blair wasn't interested, it was her time to go, especially since Takor, like, lost his shit last time. It is the women's turn to eliminate somebody, and they have Dean, Blair, and Takor on the chopping block. But the episode ends on a cliffhanger, so we don't know what guy gets eliminated. Who do you think is going to get eliminated? I think it's probably, by the vibe of the discussion, I think it's going to be Blair because he's not interested in moving forward, and they can't justify keeping him because of that. Even though Dean and Amber have shitty attitudes, I don't think Blair is going to survive this one. What do you guys think? Please leave me a comment down below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know when my next recap is live. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time.